Welcome to our channel. Get ready, because today's revelations will leave you speechless. Marla Maples, yes, you heard that right, has finally spoken out about her past with President Donald Trump, and what she reveals will shock you. For years, she has kept silent, but now she's had enough of staying quiet. So why is she speaking out now, and exactly what is she about to disclose? Stay tuned, because we're about to break it all down. Before becoming one of the most famous women of the 90s, Marla Maples was just a small-town girl from Georgia with big dreams. She was beautiful, ambitious, and had that undeniable something that made her stand out. It wasn't long before she found her way into the spotlight, first as a model, then later as an actress. But it wasn't just her talent and looks that had the media buzzing. It was who she was rubbing shoulders with. Are you curious about the story behind these high-profile encounters? Leave a comment with the number 1 and join us as we uncover the fascinating secrets behind Marla's surprising journey. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next exciting video. When Marla first met Donald Trump in the late 80s, he was already a huge figure. He was a real estate mogul, a billionaire, and frankly, the prince of the tabloids. At the time, he was married to Ivana Trump, and their famous relationship seemed solid until it wasn't. Suddenly, rumors started swirling about an enigmatic woman, and before long, the whole world knew that the woman in question was none other than Marla Maples. You probably remember this headline, right? And if you don't worry, we're diving deep into it in this video, because this wasn't just gossip, it was a full-blown scandal that rocked New York's high society. In just one night, Marla went from a rising star to one of the most talked-about women in America. It was chaotic, messy, and exactly the kind of drama the tabloids love. But here's the twist. While the public only saw one side of their relationship, Marla is now quietly revealing that there was so much more going on behind the scenes. Things she's never talked about until now. So what will she reveal after all these years? We're about to find out. Get your popcorn ready, because things are about to get intense. The New York tabloids of the late 80s were a city where power met glamour, where headlines were made in the sparkling corners of Manhattan society, and right at the center of it all was Donald Trump. He was a real estate mogul, a tabloid star, and at the time, the husband of Ivana Trump, a woman just as powerful as he was. But then came Marla Maples, a beautiful girl from the South with big dreams, and what happened next was a passionate romance that sparked one of the biggest gossip storms of the time. Trump was already a household name, famous for his extravagant lifestyle, gold-plated buildings, and a marriage that was plastered on every glossy magazine cover. Ivana Trump, his wife, was sharp, stylish, and also a partner in building the Trump empire. But as history has shown, power and loyalty don't always go hand in hand. Somewhere in the glamorous maze of power players and A-list stars, Marla Maples stepped into Donald Trump's life. A beauty from Georgia with looks, charm, and ambition enough to carve out a place for herself in the entertainment world. By the late 80s, she was a model actress, and most notably the one who caught the eye of a billionaire. How Marla and Donald met has been told in millions of different ways, depending on who's telling the story. Some say they met at a charity event, others believe it was on Madison Avenue, and there are even rumors that she caught his eye while he was in Aspen. Whatever the truth may be, one thing's for sure: sparks flew, and clearly they flew fast. However, what made things complicated was that before Donald Trump and Marla Maples became the prince and queen of the tabloids, their affair was simply a tantalizing secret whispered in high society. At that time, the New York Post, National Enquirer, Daily News, and nearly all the tabloid magazines thrived on Trump's scandals, and this one truly set everything ablaze. As rumors of his affair with Marla began to swirl, the paparazzi started trailing their every move, eager to catch a moment that would confirm the scandal. But before we dive deeper, let's take a moment to talk about Ivana. If anyone thought she would just sit back and watch, they clearly didn't understand her. Ivana wasn't the type to fade into the background. She was sharp, sophisticated, and ready to fight, and believe me, she did. The confrontation that followed became legendary. Pure, unfiltered drama unfolded when Ivana Trump and Marla Maples faced off. The stories of a blonde bombshell gracing magazine covers sent shockwaves through the media. Was she dating Trump? Or was it just another tabloid rumor Ivana wasn't the type to sit back and pretend she didn't know? She knew, and everything came to a head in December 1989 at the Aspen, Colorado ski resort. The Trump family was on its annual ski vacation, but this time there was a special guest, and it was none other than Marla Maples. Depending on which source you choose to believe, Ivana and Marla had a tense face-off on the slopes. However, Ivana revealed in her memoir, Raising Trump, that Maples approached her and said, "I'm Marla, and I love your husband. What about you?" Ivana, slightly stunned, responded, "Go away. I love my husband." Yes, this was a moment straight out of a soap opera, though some reports suggest the encounter unfolded differently. Some say Ivana confronted Marla, demanding to know what was going on between her and her husband. Marla apparently didn't deny anything. In fact, some reports claim she calmly replied, "I love him, and if he's with me, he'll be happier." Wow, talk about drama. You'll definitely be gasping after hearing these revelations, because today's conversation is packed with shocks. Marla Maples. Yes, she's finally speaking out about her past with President Donald Trump, and what she reveals will blow your mind. For years, she kept silent, but now she's had enough and is ready to tell the truth. So why did she choose this moment to spill everything, and exactly what will be revealed? Get ready, because we're about to uncover it all. Before becoming one of the most talked-about women of the 90s, Marla Maples was just a Southern girl from Georgia with big dreams. She was beautiful, ambitious, and had that something that made everyone take notice. It didn't take long before she found her way into the entertainment world, starting as a model and later transitioning to acting. But it wasn't just her talent and looks that caught the media's attention, it was who she was associating with. When Marla met Donald Trump in the late 80s, he was already a major figure in society. A real estate mogul, a billionaire, and undeniably a tabloid celebrity. At the time, he was married to Ivana Trump, and their relationship was considered rock solid until secrets began to surface. Suddenly, rumors started swirling about a mysterious woman, and before long, the entire world knew that woman was Marla Maples. And do you remember that headline? If not, don't worry. We're diving deep into this story in this video, because this wasn't just celebrity gossip, it was a scandal that rocked New York's high society. In just one night, Marla went from a rising star to one of the most talked-about women in America. This is truly a story that caused a storm, chaotic, and filled with the kind of drama that the press loves. But here's the twist: while the public only saw one version of their relationship, Marla is now revealing that behind all of that, there's much more to the story, things she's never shared until now. So what will she reveal after all these years? Get ready, because what's coming next will be truly surprising. Marla Maples, quote, "I have the best feeling ever. a moment that transformed Marla Maples from the other woman into a name everyone was talking about. The first thing was how the media painted her as the mysterious Southern beauty who captured the attention of one of New York's most famous playboys. Then a headline took this scandal from a troubled situation to a whole new level: the best feeling I've ever had. Just that one sentence alone caused an uproar, turning an already sizzling story into gold for the press. Late-night talk shows featured the, quote, gossip columns, dissected it in detail, and Hollywood elites whispered about it at every party. But here's the interesting part. Did she really say that? Was it truly a statement from Marla, or just a creation from the press to sell more copies? Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain that, quote, made this story impossible to fade away. It wasn't just a noisy scandal, it became a part of pop culture history. So what happened that led to one of the most infamous quotes ever printed in bold on newspaper pages? The story began during the peak of their love affair, when Maples was allegedly sharing with a close friend, or perhaps a very close friend, about the intense moments she and Trump shared behind closed doors. Not just ordinary passion, but the best kind of passion. Yes, just that one sentence, once it got out, triggered a PR storm, turning everything into a media disaster. Before she could even grasp what was happening, the quote was already published. That headline quickly spread from newsstands to evening broadcasts, and we all know once this juicy story hit the papers, nothing could stop it. So how did Marla and Donald handle the aftermath? Marla didn't give any clear confirmation or denial to address the rumors. Some believe it was a casual remark, meant only for close friends, but shared with the wrong person, while others think the press exaggerated or even completely fabricated things to keep the Trump-Marla-Ivana love triangle scandal alive. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is undeniable: this story wasn't going away anytime soon. Over time, the phrase, "the best feeling I've ever had," has become an integral part of pop culture, a joke, and an unforgettable piece of tabloid history that remains etched in our minds. What do you think about the relationship between Donald Trump and Marla Maples? Was this story really as shocking as the press made it out to be? Leave a comment with the number 2 if you find this story intriguing, or 5 if you have a different perspective. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to keep following more fascinating stories like this. Even years later, in interviews and retrospectives, the question still lingers. Did you really say that Marla spent years trying to move past the scandal? But a headline as explosive as that is impossible to forget. The interesting part here is looking back, the phrase, "the best feeling I've ever had," wasn't just a shock. It was about power-shaping perceptions and how one sentence can create a story, whether true or false. And in an era where tabloid culture thrived on exaggeration, this was pure gold. In the world of celebrity scandals, this may not be the most destructive one. It didn't ruin careers or lead to legal battles, but what it did do was prove once again that in Hollywood and high society, the things you say, whether intentional or not, will always follow you for life. And when those words are about intimacy, well, you're sure to have a place in the gossip history books. And so the legend of the phrase, "the best feeling I've ever had," lives on. Whether it's true or not exaggerated or completely fabricated, one thing is undeniable: it's unforgettable, and in the world of celebrity gossip, isn't that the ultimate goal? The story of Marla Maples and Donald Trump's rise and fall. When Donald Trump and Marla Maples finally married in 1993, it seemed like the culmination of one of the most scandalous love stories of the decade. After years of a love full of scandals, relentless public scrutiny, and their private lives being magnified by the media, the Southern girl-turned-wife became the spouse of a billionaire. Their fairy tale wedding was truly a grand event, surpassing even the wildest imaginations of their friends. But beneath the glittering surface, their marriage soon faced reality, as expectations, power struggles, and the relentless media scrutiny began to blur the illusion, turning this great love story into yet another public breakup. Before diving into the collapse of their marriage, let's first talk about the wedding. Held at the legendary Plaza Hotel, one of Trump's properties, at the time the event was designed to make a grand impression. The guest list was filled with tycoons, Hollywood stars, and high society influencers, all present to witness a wedding brimming with romance and opulence. Every detail was meticulously planned to showcase luxury, ensuring the world would know that this wasn't just an ordinary wedding, it was a statement. Marla, radiant in a custom Carolina Herrera gown, truly looked like the perfect bride. But under the dazzling lights, whispers began to spread through the crowd. Would this marriage last? Their relationship had started with a scandal, and despite the lavish wedding, there was an undeniable sense that this fairy tale might not have a happy ending. Just a few months after their wedding, Marla Maples and Donald Trump welcomed their beautiful daughter Tiffany Trump into the family. Her name was chosen as a tribute to the iconic luxury retailer Tiffany & Co. located right next to Trump Tower. Tiffany became the light in their family amid the turbulent marriage of her parents. Compared to her half-siblings Ivanka, Donald Jr., and Eric, who were raised in the high society circles of Manhattan under Ivana's watchful eye, Tiffany grew up in a very different environment. Although Tiffany carried the Trump name, she was raised by Marla in California, far removed from the competitive real estate world of New York. Marla, determined to build a life untouched by Donald's shadow, focused on giving Tiffany a more ordinary life, completely contrasting with the Trump family's passion for wealth and extravagance. Marla chose a more spiritual lifestyle, one that embraced art and grounded values, contrasting sharply with Donald's cold, calculated business approach. While Donald remained involved in Tiffany's life, his presence was clearly different from the very public and prominent role he played with his older children. As Tiffany grew, these differences became even more pronounced. Marla, despite struggling to build her own career and space, found her marriage to Donald slowly deteriorating. Though they shared happy moments together, their marriage never felt complete, as the passion that once captivated attention slowly faded under the weight of everyday married life. Trump remained deeply immersed in his business empire, and his desire for public attention never waned, leaving Marla feeling emotionally disconnected and unable to find true companionship in their marriage. Marla longed for stability, an emotional connection, and a marriage built on a solid foundation rather than power and wealth, but that was not the world Donald inhabited. As she tried to carve out her own space in the whirlwind of Trump's world, the tension only grew. Unlike Ivana, an experienced businesswoman who thrived within the Trump empire, Marla didn't want to play the role of a silent figurehead wife. She had her own ambitions, her own identity, and most importantly, she wanted a genuine relationship with her husband, something that, according to insiders, was becoming increasingly out of reach. In public, they still maintained the appearance of normalcy, but behind closed doors, their marriage was falling apart. By the late 90s, the cracks could no longer be hidden. Reports showed that Marla felt lonely and unfulfilled, while Trump, always consumed by his business, showed little interest in salvaging what was left. The separation came in 1999 when they officially announced their split, a decision that no longer came as a surprise. But here's where things got even more interesting. Unlike the messy, drawn-out divorce with Ivana, where millions of dollars were at stake, and every detail was exposed by the media, Trump learned from his past. Before marrying Marla, Trump made sure to protect his assets by requiring a prenuptial agreement which limited her settlement to just $2 million. So unlike the massive sum Ivana received, this was just a tiny fraction of Trump's vast fortune. This was a calculated move, ensuring that this time the divorce wouldn't come with too steep a price. For Marla, their marriage became like a lingering shadow, constantly reminding her of the power imbalance in their relationship. Once the woman at the center of one of the biggest scandals of the decade, Marla ultimately walked away with a small settlement and custody of their daughter. Meanwhile, Trump didn't waste much time moving on with his life, maintaining the public image he had carefully crafted. Looking back, the marriage between him and Marla flared up and then burned out quickly. What had once attracted him couldn't withstand the pressure of reality, and while Marla tried to build a life beyond Trump's influence, she would forever be tied to his larger-than-life story. Just a few years later, Trump would marry Melania, stepping into yet another scandalous relationship fueled by the media. Now Marla Maples is breaking her silence, revealing shocking truths about her marriage to Donald Trump. Marla has always been one of the mysterious figures in Trump's past, often overshadowed by his more famous marriages and political career. But behind closed doors, her perspective on Trump's personality, their turbulent relationship, and their daughter Tiffany Trump paints an intriguing picture of the man we only know through cameras and headlines. Trump's public image has always been that of a larger-than-life charismatic figure, confident and always ready with a memorable quote. But what is he really like when the cameras are off? According to those close to Marla, she witnessed a different side of him when there was no audience. Trump's charm could quickly turn into something darker, with rumors suggesting his temper could flare up and he would easily lose his cool. Marla often felt like she was walking on eggshells around him. This wasn't the Trump we see exploding in front of the crowd on TV. This was a man who demanded control over everything in his life, including his marriage. Even so, Marla was careful not to publicly criticize him. She often spoke about their time together with a sense of longing and reflection, alluding to the struggles without fully exposing them. However, those who followed their relationship in the 90s knew that things weren't as perfect as they appeared. Trump needed dominance not just in business. He wanted everything to go his way always. Marla, coming from a Southern background where warmth and emotional connection were valued, seemed to struggle with the cold, transactional nature of their marriage. Then came the issue of money. Trump's financial empire has always been a controversial topic, as at times he was the king of real estate, but rumors also swirled that he was drowning in debt. Throughout their marriage, Marla had a front-row seat to Trump's financial maneuvers. There was much speculation that she became aware of his tendency to handle finances, boldly leveraging debt and keeping financial matters shrouded in secrecy. Some sources even claim that she witnessed firsthand the financial tactics that later became the focus of legal investigations. But did she truly understand the depth of his business dealings? That's a question only Marla can answer. One of the most heartbreaking aspects of their relationship, according to gossip and speculation, was Trump's relationship with his daughter Tiffany. Unlike his older children, Ivanka, Donald Jr., and Eric, who grew up at the heart of Trump's empire, Tiffany was often kept at a distance. Marla took great pride in raising Tiffany on her own, frequently hinting that Trump was more of an absent father than an actively involved one. There have long been rumors that Marla fought to help Tiffany connect with her father, but Trump's attention was always focused elsewhere, whether on work politics or even maintaining his brand. While Tiffany has never publicly criticized her father, the contrast between his relationship with his older children and Tiffany has always been noticeable. When Trump entered politics, the world saw another version of him, a passionate man, unafraid to express his opinions, seemingly unshaken by criticism. But perhaps Marla knew a different side of him. People often speculate that behind closed doors, Trump had deep insecurities, always needing validation from those around him. Is it possible that the man who projected untouchable confidence was actually deeply concerned about how he was perceived? Marla, having lived with him, must have witnessed those vulnerable moments, if they truly existed. In the end, Marla Maples remains one of the few figures from Trump's past who hasn't written a tell-all book or embarked on a media tour to expose him. Yet her silence speaks volumes. Marla Maples knows more about Donald Trump than most people can understand, yet she has chosen to remain silent about most of it. Is her silence born from respect, fear, or simply the desire to build a new life? Only Marla truly knows the reason behind it. What do you think? Could Marla Maples be the one holding the key to revealing truths about Donald Trump that we've never known? Leave a comment and share your thoughts. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on more fascinating stories. Click on the next video on the screen to discover even more exciting content.